Welcome back, guys. Season one of The Last of Us has concluded with a banging last episode, and let's talk about it and the series in itself. So, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. There are going to contain spoilers in this video, so you've been warned. So we finally come to the conclusion of Joel and Ellie's adventure, I guess you can say. Um, I wish it was longer, to be honest. I think Neil Druckmann has done a great job of just creating a great world, and um, man, like Neil and Craig are just like they did a great job of just adapting because they were one super faithful to the game itself. Again, you have a ton of scenes in episode 9 that are lifted straight from the video game. Um, and they even have their costumes or their clothing match the game almost like a one-to-one in some cases. But of course, as we see in the beginning of the episode, Joel and Ellie are like, they're super friendly from compared to what Joel was like in the beginning of this series, right? He was just standoffish, didn't want to be around Ellie, didn't want Ellie around, didn't want her remotely near him, was just super antagonistic in a lot of ways, right? Um, and then by the end of it, he was just like, "Hey, let me teach you guitar. Let me do this. Oh, look, Chef Boyardee, your favorite and stuff like that." It was just super heartwarming to see all of that coming out of Joel, and it was just like he clearly at this point sees Ellie as a daughter, and or like at least a very someone that he cares for a lot. And then of course they eventually get to the city where they're supposed to go to the hospital. The fireflies, they ambush them and with the flashbang, all that jazz, and Joel wakes up and is like freaking out about the whole thing, right? And then because he realizes that Ellie is gonna die because of the surgery, he goes on a rampage, which is also very reminiscent of um, the last battle, I guess, in the Last of Us video game, where you just similarly go through the hospital and you just gun down everybody in sight. The only difference is that there's less intensity because obviously the gunfight in the game is intense, because you're constantly just like popping people off, and it's an action scene. Whereas this was depicted a little bit more kind of solemn, or like it was kind of like Joel was just like in like Terminator mode and just like going through hallway after hallway, and he had like very little trouble killing these people. Like he was like almost like too good in a way. Um and the other people are just idiots. I don't know how these people in the Fireflies ever survived that this long if they can't even take down one guy. But anyways, it's a show. Who cares, right? Um, and it was great. Also, what we did see was Ellie's mother, who is never shown in the video game, I believe. But we did see her character in the beginning of the episode. Who, fun fact, if you didn't know, is also she is well, one, she was the waitress in Avengers 1, who's like think Captain America at the end of the movie, and she was saved by Captain America. But she's also the voice of Ellie in the game. So, and it so happens that she looks a lot like freaking Bella Ramsey, which is just crazy to me. Like, I think her name is Ashley Johnson, according to the page here. So I think it's just a big coincidence that they actually kind of look alike, or they made them look alike. So you can see like, oh yeah, that's Ellie's mom. So I think that's just a very fun coincidence that they had here. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, so he goes through, gets the girl, Joel gets Ellie, and then they leave. And again, like the scene between Marlene and Joel, Ellie passed out, like it's all just lifted straight from the game. I love it. I love it when they do faithful adaptations instead of like, all the crazy Resident Evils that we've gotten over the years, especially the most recent one by Netflix that was just terrible. Like, are you kidding me with Lance Hendrick as like discount Blade at one point. Like, what the crap was that? You know, all these like this is probably the most faithful adaptation from video game to on screen ever. And maybe for and I think this should send a message to anyone else trying to adapt video games into a movie or TV show. Like, dude, just follow the story. I understand that not everything can be translated into a TV show or a movie, but like this, like, but like you do not need to throw in your own like creative take. You don't need to change like the story overall. Like, look at Mortal Kombat. Like, they had to change the all like a bunch of like the backstories to these characters just for the sake of change. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you don't need that, anyways. But overall, this is a great ending to the whole story. You know, as we see in the end, Joel completely lies to Ellie, you know, about why they left the facilities and why she woke up in a truck or like an SUV. And it's because the fire, you know, they were saying like, oh, we were invaded by raiders and like I barely got you out alive, you know, and that's like a lie that will be explored in season 2, which I believe they will also follow a lot of the Last of Us part 2 game. And I've also heard that Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, they won't be changing much of the story from the game. So I believe the Last of Us Part 2, a lot of people weren't crazy about the game. Like, they didn't get the best reviews, and they didn't. I think people were mainly upset with the story. But they're saying they're not going to change it at all. So I think people who are fans of Part 1 but not Part 2, they might be a little bit bummed on, like, you know, that they're not changing the story to kind of make it like improvements on it, right? So that could be a pretty big bummer, but at the end of the day, they're still staying really faithful to the story itself. And if Naughty Dog decides to make The Last of Us Part 3 video game, then we'll at least get season 3. But it looks like this, The Last of Us season 2 might be the last. At least I hope it is. You know, they could go off into spin-off series and stuff with like, you know, Tommy and like, you know, or like other Firefly stories or something like that. I don't know. They can probably dig into this world pretty crazy. Like, you know, just have something in another country or something, right? Like, they can do a bunch of stuff in other places that doesn't involve Joel and Ellie, but they are the main characters. Anyways, I love this whole series. It was great. I loved watching every minute of it. My girlfriend and I, like, you know, we're like always like, oh, Sunday is Last of Us night, you know? So, which is kind of a bummer because now we're like, now what? You know, I mean, we're watching The Mandalorian, but I'm not doing videos on that. So, yeah, we're just gonna have to find more stuff to watch. But anyways, thanks guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of The Last of Us episode 9 and all of season 1 in the comments. Did you like it, hate it, you know, whatever. And are you excited for season 2? So anyways, hope you guys are having a good week. Give the video a like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, take it easy.